Hello, and welcome to the Smoking Room Podcast. Today I'm joined by Super Toho Remix.
Hello.
And Wonder Waffles.
Hello there. It's your boy Wonder Waffles back again with another lit banger. What's poppin'?
Very much. So, I kind of wanted to start this off by telling the story of how we got to record this.
In the stuff of legends.
Jesus Christ, this has been the most complicated thing. So, we have run into technical difficulties almost every single time we have tried to do this. Oh my god.
Yeah.
We've been trying to do this since the beginning of, last month, was it?
Yeah, it was sometime, maybe even more, even longer. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was a month ago. I remember that.
It was long enough.
It was long enough. But, just today, Wonder Waffles and I were kind of talking. We didn't think that Super Toho Remix was gonna make it tonight, so we decided to kind of sign off and do other things. And then, not 5 minutes after we had that conversation, Super Toho Remix shows up.
I thought for sure you were off, because this is what time is it in Britain right now?
It's just gone. It's coming up to midnight.
Exactly, that's why I thought you'd be out by now. So it's like, okay, might as well not even bother.
But to explain, I literally just got back from a friend's house. So I got on the laptop, was literally about to sign off, and then lo and behold, got a message on the chat we're on right now, and it's like, oh, gotta do something right here and now. Try anyway, because as our host here has mentioned. By the way, thanks for having us on today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
As our host has mentioned, setup has been arduous. We finally made it. That's the important thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna do the same thing actually. I was just gonna load up some Black Ops 4, just wind down for the day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna check Discord. Probably no updates. But whatever. I check, and I see messages in the Jonos' secret lair, as we call it around here. Also known as the basement. Don't tell them. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I was just gonna load up some Black Ops 4, and then I'm like, nope, I'm gonna check some Discord. I did, and I'm like, oh boy, I got a ping from Jono saying, we got Toho on. It's like, well, now it's happening.
And I'm glad you say that, because it makes it sound like you got a copyright claim from Toho Studios.
Yeah.
I uploaded another leaked Godzilla versus King Ghidorah gone wrong footage.
We got another leak.
Coming soon from Toho Animation, the Planet Eater.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, I'm really happy that we're finally doing this.
Same here. I'm glad it's working.
You got the love.
Oh.
Keep going. We want to hear more lyrics.
I can't even remember the rest of the song, which is a sin because I should. It's a classic.
I should also point out that right when Wonder Waffles messaged me back saying that he was online, I had just started listening to the Soviet national anthem.
Better be the trap remix. Trap remix is the only.
No, it was the OG.
Also good.
Oldie but goodie.
You know what
Best
else?
version
You know what else is an oldie but goodie?
What?
Erica by the German our military choir.
That's a good one.
Best version of the Soviet Union theme is the GameCube one.
Oh, that's a great video.
Oh, that was fantastic.
I really do like that song. I'm Russian myself. Sort of. I am not Russian spy or anything, but excellent song if I do say so myself. Those Reds know how to make a real, what you Americans call, lit banger.
In Mother Russia, we super smash your bladders.
In Mother Russia, we don't play that capitalist shit. It is garbage. We play Line Up for Bread Simulator. Except it is not simulator, it is just a real thing.
Stalin's favorite book was The Hunger Games. It's good, no?
No, it is excellent book.
That had to be the most attended Hunger Games ever, which had over 1 million participants.
Oh my gosh.
7 million, in fact.
The only battle royale bigger than Fortnite.
Fortnite is a Netflix adaptation.
Yes.
Well, it would probably improve it.
So we just set the tone for the rest of the podcast.
Oh yes, we very much did. Communist done. If anybody would like me to read my favorite book, Communist Propaganda, excellent read, you could always rely on your boy Artyom. Oh man, we're already getting politically incorrect with our Soviet jokes and communist jokes. It's gonna be a good.
This is our manifesto.
This will be the last thing when humans die out. They'll just be this.
Hey, your book Wonder Struggle sounds great.
Oh man.
Mein Kampf.
We could write an entire book about how this came to be. Good God.
The people of the future would interpret it as religion, and they would start a cult around it.
The Great War for the Smoking Room.
Smoking.
Oh, Jeebus.
And dude, like the name Janos Firewalker, that sounds like a god or something, or some sort of like legendary leader. That's a cool name.
Yeah, like I've explained this several times. I don't know if I've explained it on my channel, but my username here is just an OS on my first name, and then my favorite Chuck Norris movie as my last name.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not familiar with Chuck Norris, but yeah, I can definitely see that being a movie title.
It does
Yeah.
sound very 70s, 80s, so that makes sense. That does fall in line with where a lot of his best movies came from.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like it.
I should really watch some Chuck Norris. I have not seen any movies yet.
Chuck Norris kind of shows up in a lot of things that I like, so it's great.
Oh, you know Chuck Norris from his Mugen character, where he's pretty much one of the most OP characters in the game.
Right up there with Dwayne,
Dwayne, he's the best.
the most
Where's
overpowered
Dwayne?
character. I don't know. I'd be interested to look into that.
I hope he's aware of his legendary status on the internet as being basically a god.
He better.
So, I believe there was some kind of American talk show, and they actually had him on it, and he was basically answering all the internet myths surrounding him. Well, most of them anyway.
I want to see him do the dance today.
That would make my day.
If Rick Ashley could come back, then maybe Dwayne could come back someday.
When's Dwayne 2 coming out?
Oh, Rick Astley did make a comeback. I watched this video the other day where the Foo Fighters were doing a concert, and Dave Grohl introduced what he called a legend, and Rick Astley came up on the stage and sung his trademark song.
What a man. Rick Astley is just the best if he actually did that. That's great.
Don't revere it, own it.
Exactly, that's why I see it. Sometimes people hate the memes around them, but really, just embrace it. People will like you even more, to be honest.
Right.
People
Well, John Cena did after a while.
John Cena.
Like, people would post, like, pictures with him on Twitter, and he would reply to them saying, wait, where is he?
Well, you can't see him.
You
It's
can't
like,
see him.
what would happen if what would happen if John Cena wore camouflage?
He'd be super invisible.
Would he just, like, disintegrate from existence? He would just lose his physical form. He would be so invisible, just nothing could
Pretty sure
touch him.
he'd tear a hole in the universe.
Seriously.
He'd go back to the universe where it's the Berenstein Bears.
Berenstein Bears. You know what I found funny? I think I found the most compelling piece of evidence of Mandela effect, but nobody seems to acknowledge it. I'm convinced that Mandela effect is real because in Universe A, socks and sandals is like the Satanist Bible of fashion, and in the new universe, everyone wears it because it's actually trendy in the new universe. I'm convinced.
No, that's not a different universe. That's Boca Raton.
Huh?
Old people.
Old people. Maybe we're in the old people verse. If Stephen Hawking were still alive, he'd be fucking him. He'd just be like, "You're a good dude, Wonder. You fucking solved that shit." And I'd be like, "I thank you, sir.
A good dude, Wonder Waffles.
Thank you. I'm a humble man."
Surprisingly, doing an automated voice is really difficult.
An automated voice.
Yeah, you know the thing Stephen Hawking used to get around and actually talk? He actually used a program.
Oh. Yeah, I know that.
Funny enough, there was this really ancient program called Speakonia, and you could actually find the actual voice he used, which made for some very funny results depending on what you typed into it.
Oh boy, can't wait for Stephen Hawking dirty talk.
I remember a friend of mine in high school used to take text-to-speak programs and just type in the most offensive stuff into it.
That's what I did when I was a kid. I found Microsoft Sam, and I made him say stuff like, "Hello, I am Sam. I will pee in the naked streets," or some shit. Oh, I was very immature.
I don't know, this guy, who shall remain anonymous, he'd type in stuff like, if you don't have the basketball, use dead baby. Bounce, bounce, dead baby.
Oh man, I love me a little bit of dark humor every once in a while.
He would annoy the shit out of people with it.
I have a friend who is quite similar, who I will also keep anonymous, where he has, out of all the people I know, he probably has the darkest sense of humor. What he did one day, was he got the most twisted, darkest, certain type of fan fiction you can think of, and he ran it through Speakonia. It went off, and we were all just dying laughing.
Excellent.
I don't know.
It involved Iron Man and a certain robot, which I'm not going to elaborate on any further.
Yeah, we want to be able to monetize this.
And you know, YouTube has the whole censorship thing recently, so
Oh yeah, they're gonna go ape on me.
We spoke about dead babies, just no turning back now.
you know what we're gonna have to do, right? Like some sort of Morse code. We're gonna have to swear, but we're gonna have to say a swear word in a different language, like "bay," for example.
Idiot!
Crystal!
Wiener Schnitzel, ja. I am German.
Scheiße!
I'm going to do some German right now. I know Führer, Panzer, Granata, Achtung. Those are my favorite words.
Schweinhund.
Schweinhund.
YouTube is a load of Scheiße.
Scheiße. Los Eilche Boy Kaiser Wilhelm.
Probably gonna get blocked just for using German.
traumatized with you using Nazi language. You said Achtung, Kaiser, Uber.
Oh, Jeebus.
Probably will be banned in Germany.
Yeah, we're definitely getting banned in Germany.
10 out of 10 banned in Germany.
Oh man, if we're banned in Germany, you know we gotta be good. That could be a selling point. The smoking room, now banned in Germany.
Just because it's called the smoking room, it's probably banned in Germany.
Oh.
Germany
Yeah,
bans
dark.
everything.
Oh man. Oh, you know how to get banned in Germany? Hello sir, it's your boy Adolf Hitler. Today we are going to read Mein Kampf. Live reading.
There it is.
And there it is.
Chapter 1. Wiener Schnitzel. Wiener Schnitzel, Achtung. And then I said, it's a Wiener Schnitzel Panzer, my Uber Kaiser Panzer Kampf Jagdwagen. Coming soon to theaters.
I know a very old German story. It's a very sad story, and it's only 4 words. Hans, the transmission broke.
Pardon?
The entire story is Hans, the transmission broke.
I think I'm missing out on something. I'm so sorry.
Every German tank had transmission problems.
Oh man, I love short horror stories.
Ooh. It certainly was short-lived.
Have you heard two sentence horror stories?
Yeah, those are great.
Certainly better than creepypastas.
I've made a few in the YouTube comment section, and people went nuts over them.
I don't know. The best one I've heard, like this isn't a joke. It's like legitimately good. My favorite two-line horror story was the only man on Earth sits alone in a room. There's a knock at the door.
That's a classic. That's the 2-second 2-line horror story. I heard it's a part of a bigger book though. That's only like the beginning sentences.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone expanded upon that.
Nope, it's a book. It came from a book, from what I know. But that's just the most iconic lines. Because it's horrifying itself. For different.
Imagination.
Is he mad, or is there something at the door?
Yeah, your imagination just goes wild.
I love the joke ones. Those ones are my favorite. The joke horror stories.
Went to the pizzeria, came back with gonorrhea.
Oh, I made this one in the YouTube comments. It got like over 100 likes. It went something like this. I woke up out of bed to go eat breakfast downstairs. I forgot that I slept naked. Top 10 plot twists. Top 10 anime betrayals.
And there's Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of anime, what's everyone's viewpoints on the Netflix Godzilla trilogy so far?
It's pretty alright.
I've only seen Planet of the Monsters, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I just didn't find the characters too interesting, though. But the lore and the world building behind it, I did find to be really cool, though.
A lot of the characters are kind of flat.
My favorite is Yuka. She was so funny and interesting.
She's a cutie.
Well, the good news is, even though it's not by a wide margin, some of the characters do get a slight expansion in the second film, especially Haro. I can say that in confidence.
Yeah, there's a little more kind of internal conflict going on.
Which is definitely something above Ford, because a lot of people have been comparing the two characters recently, which I find to be hilarious.
Oh, there's no comparison. Ford is the most wooden character I have ever seen in a Godzilla film.
Okay, unpopular opinion coming through. Am I the only one that didn't hate Ford?
I don't hate Ford.
I don't hate him, but he's
Everyone,
not
like, says he's, like,
well
the worst thing
written.
to ever happen fan of Godzilla, but I remember him more than a lot of the Japanese protagonists. I'm sorry, but I just can't. I'm sorry, I just can't remember any Japanese Godzilla protagonists aside from a few select memorable characters. But
I remember them all, but I'm just weird like that.
I remember the ones from Invasion of the Astro Monster because there was an American guy. There was a pilot in Godzilla Raids Again. He was pretty cool. And then I remember some of the Heisei protagonists, but it doesn't mean they were interesting.
Miki Sagusa.
Who?
Miki Sagusa.
No, I can't remember a single name.
Oh, you. Stream's cancelled!
Say it.
No. Oh, jeez.
Like, me personally, I don't hate Ford. I mean, sure, there have been better protagonists in the series as a whole, but Ford, me personally, I think Ford does the job. I mean, a friend of mine actually knows an actual shoulder. No, not shoulder. Oh my god, here we go. Soldier. There we go. He knows an actual real life soldier, and apparently the acting from Ford is actually quite accurate to how some of them behave because of some of the training and stuff they went through. I mean, as his character archetype, it works, but I think for a Godzilla movie, personally, I think a little bit more substance wouldn't have hurt.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one problem. Like, even though it's accurate, it doesn't necessarily make it good. Because I mean, yeah, I understand that he's a soldier. He can't be breaking down under pressure. He has to stay calm. But does it really make it an engaging character? Yeah, exactly. He could use a little bit more substance.
Okay, this is my unpopular opinion. The reason I think Haru is a good character is because, yeah, in the first movie he goes on a whole gut spiel where it's basically, rather than Griffith, it's Godzilla. But yeah, in the second movie, because of what happened in the first one, we start seeing some form of eternal conflict. He's actually questioning how far is he taking his vengeance. Like, is it actually is it jeopardizing everybody on the crew, sort of thing? And then as the movie progresses, it just gets more and more interesting, especially near the end when Mechagodzilla C goes down. And he has the chance to kill Godzilla, but at the cost of everyone he cares about. And we all know the choice he makes. So yeah, ultimately, Haru is the better character of the two, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because he also has more. There's a reason why he was sort of, in a way, flat in the first movie because it gives him room to grow. But it's safe to say that Ford Brody will not be playing a big part in King of the Monsters. So Haru kind of has the advantage of being in a trilogy aside from one standalone movie.
That being said, though, the Netflix trilogy would have benefited so much better as being a TV show.
Oh, it would be.
It would.
The only thing, though, I think about if it was a TV series is, imagine if they compressed the Planet of the Monsters, for example, into a TV series. People would get bored so easily. Everyone would get fed up of seeing them walking around in the jungle. When's there going to be a monster? When's Godzilla going to show up? When are the Servums going to show up? Because that was the one thing that did kind of disappoint me was they hyped up the Servums and all the merchandising and advertising, and then they didn't do anything. They just showed up for 5 seconds, and that was it, basically.
In full fairness, you can say the same thing for a lot of the monsters in Final Wars.
Well, at least they did something. At least they got to see Godzilla for the most part. The Servums didn't even interact with Godzilla.
At least Final Wars had Don Fry in it.
Was that the sergeant with the katana?
Yeah.
He was so cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Don Fry and his MMA fights and such. So.
I actually remember seeing a clip of one of his fights, and I'm not sure if this is actually real, but apparently he pinned down another guy, and they both were punching each other in the face at exactly the same time, or something like that.
Yeah, I forget the other guy's name, but it was a Japanese fighter. They just kind of grabbed each other's shoulders and right hooked each other until one of them went down.
I think
this was repeated stuff. It was repeated, yeah. They kept going at it too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a first round knockout, if I remember correctly.
Top 10 most brutal anime death scenes. Top 10 anime battles. Top 10 anime something.
The funny thing is that kind of works because we are talking about Don Fry here, and considering the types of fights he has in Final Wars, that one kind of checks out.
Yeah.
Seriously. We need more wrestlers in Godzilla movies. I want to see King of the Monsters where, like, King Ghidorah or Godzilla looms over the city, and then everyone's like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And out of nowhere, freaking Hulk Hogan comes and rips off his shirt.
The Hulkster.
They weren't lying when they said there were more monsters in the movie.
Hulkamania running wild, brother!
Hulk, king of the brothers.
Godzilla 3, Hulkamania runs wild.
Hulkamania. Forget Godzilla vs. Kong. I want to see Hulkamania now. Godzilla vs. Kong. It's not even Godzilla vs. Kong. It's just called the MonsterVerse presents WWE's Hell in a Cell. It's just a Hell in a Cell match with Hulk Hogan.
I wouldn't even be mad.
I wouldn't be mad at all. That'd be great.
It's RKO'd from space.
Or the whole movie is just two guys in cheap Godzilla and King Kong costumes, and then just Hulk Hogan just comes and just knocks them out or something. It wouldn't even be. They're not even real wrestlers. They're just two bystanders that they got to dress up and just get pummeled by Hogan.
Well, let's be real about wrestling.
Real.
None of that. None of them are real wrestlers.
Wrestling and real in the same sentence without a negative connotation. Example, wrestling is not real.
Definitely demonetized now.
The studio exec would be like, you know the fans, they want more suits and practical effects. Get two guys up in suits, get the Hulk, we're good to go. They want more of that Toho shit, let's give it to them.
Man, the MonsterVerse would be so much better if Hulk Hogan got his own standalone film.
It would, too.
Hulkamania. Presented by the Monarch. Just imagine that. They get, like, Monarch files, top secret. This is top secret footage. This is not to be seen by the eyes of the public. And it's just a fucking Hulk Hogan pin down video where he slams someone from the ropes or something by jumping off. Just with the big Monarch logo pasted on it. For your eyes only. Or like, he's like slamming down Muto or something. That'd be great.
Then you have Dr. Salazar on the sideline saying, we tried to retire it.
Spoilers, Hulk Hogan was the real monster. Spoilers, Godzilla Awakening is not canon anymore after they recanonized it because the bombs they sent, they weren't meant to kill Godzilla. They were meant to kill the Hulkster.
Tests? Not tests. They tried to kill it. Bravo!
If you slow down the footage of the nuclear bomb from Godzilla 2014 and you enhance the audio, you can hear a faint brother in the they're trying to kill Hulk Hogan, but his wrestle hype was too strong. They couldn't suppress him.
My concern is, if Hulk Hogan got a standalone movie in the MonsterVerse, who would he fight?
His most infamous opponent?
Bulk Bogan.
Hulk from Marvel.
Hulk Hogan.
It's gotta be Bulk Bogan. Yes. Muscles. My muscles are stronger.
Brogan says, male sibling?
The meat for the muscles.
The Mooshkers. Hello, I am Mooshkers. I am broken. That's not an intimidating voice in the slightest. Who am I kidding?
Who the hell is Bob Broken?
He's Hulk Hogan's arch nemesis. Legend says at the beginning of time when the universe was created, there were two equal neutral forces. There was Hulk Hogan and Bulk Brogan, and now Bulk Brogan's struggle for power led him to try to beat Hulk Hogan. But luckily, Hulk was too strong, and now he's back to bring the power of the ether to the light universe, and Hulk Hogan has to stop him. Coming soon to the MonsterVerse.
Have you ever had a dreams?
You know, just realize something. If you actually think about it, the monster plot line for G14 is literally a plot you'd get in WWE. As a wrestler breaks up a marriage.
That would work.
The new bot that the Moodos are going for is just the $100,000 case, and Godzilla's trying to stop them from getting it. Godzilla doesn't even want the money. He just doesn't want the happy married couple to get the money. Helen is so the monsters are so black.
And then there's a fatal accident on set. The victim, Bryan Cranston.
He's the announcer at the table that he slams the married couple into, and he just gets sent into the ambulance. But as you know, whenever there's an ambulance in WWE, things never go good.
And then Bryan Cranston went on to become a Power Ranger spirit.
Holy smokes.
More like a stand. Bryan Cranston's my stand.
Bizarre adventure. I feel like he would just be his own stand, kind of like Johnny Cage kind of thing.
I still haven't watched any JoJo, but I still know all the jokes.
I'm glad.
Joe jokes. The Joe jokes.
Joe jokes are the worst. I'm sorry, but they are. Today I got recommended a page that was it was IDEO joke every single day. I had to say no. I just said no, and I had to do it.
But it was me, Dio!
But it was me, Hulk Hogan, brother!
Oh, you're both wrong. It's Bulk Bulgan.
I can't wait to see Millie Bobby Brown get slammed. Get slammed from the ropes by Hulk Hogan. Oh, remember one of the teasers where she's on the phone? She says, "Hi, can I talk to Monarch? This is Hulk Hogan, brother." And then he would just burst through the back door and just slam her on the ground.
Oh no, freaking, when she starts hearing all the sounds through the radio, it should be, Hulk Hogan's theme song.
It's just the WWE announcer getting hyped.
Just starts blasting Real American.
Hello? Is this Monarch? No, it's John Cena! And you have just won tickets to the live event!
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday!
Oh, have you actually listened to to what he's actually saying when the woman is ranting in that prank video? He says some pretty crazy stuff. He's like, slip, bit, swapping, slobbering, make out mess. When she's ranting. He's talking about wrestlers making out, spit swapping. He's like, I don't want WWE in my house anymore.
That's what Bobby Mills gets when she tries to contact Monarch, as one giant WWE promo.
And the part in the trailer when she's like, "You're a monster," and then you see King Ghidorah's head behind her in the window. It should just be John Cena.
You see, I'm gonna go and edit that now.
Or not John Cena, or have like Hulk Hogan in the window ripping off his shirt, ready to crash through the window. Poor Millie Bobby Brown, she can't escape from Hulk Hogan.
I like how we talk about wrestling more than we talk about Godzilla so far.
I don't even watch wrestling. I just like Hulk Hogan jokes.
You're a monster. I'm sorry, brother.
Hulkamania's running wild!
He calls Godzilla to Hulkamania.
I'm sorry, but this is the only way. And here comes the Undertaker.
At the end of Kong Skull Island with the cave drawings, there's more monsters than Kong in the world. And instead of Godzilla and King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan, it's Hulk Hogan, John Cena, the Undertaker.
No, there should just be a promo poster for a wrestling match.
No. After all those, when it shows Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah, that would just be the WWE poster. Yeah, it would be John Cena, The Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, and Hulk Hogan or something for King of the Monsters.
Kong is not the only king. The King of Kings.
John Cena.
The king.
Oh man, wrestling.
Wrestling.
You're a monster. That's exactly what the Undertaker said to John Cena. I'm so sorry. I keep making the same joke. Yeah, I like how we're all Godzilla fans, but instead we just go off about wrestling. Like, do we even watch wrestling here?
Not really.
Needs a fever to fight this infection, and then what you end up getting is the head of WWE doing that walk as if he's got a broom stuck up his ass.
Oh Jesus.
By the way, speaking of wrestling, have you seen those custom fighters like by Germa? Have you seen Germa Rumble?
I've heard of it.
No.
Oh man, you should watch it. There's this YouTuber named Germa, and he makes these custom fighters. They are the craziest WWE custom fighters ever made. He made a guy named Glue Man. He's this big, pale, white, bald guy with a blue cape because he's made of glue. He made Gabe Newell. He made... Oh man, you gotta watch it. It's just a classic. We gotta do that on Watch Together sometime. And then he makes them all... What? Oh. And then he makes them all fight in like this big battle royale style kind of fight. It's amazing. You have to see it to believe it.
That would be cool.
Recently, when I hear custom fighter, all I can think about is someone creating Marge Simpson on Soul Calibur 6.
Oh, I've seen gameplay footage from Critical. Holy smokes, the fighters are crazy.
I just kept watching Joel from Vinesauce make Skeletor.
Oh, somebody made the teleports behind you guy with the trench coat, fedora, and the long katana. They also made Fat Naruto. How is the customization so good on that game?
No, right? Someone actually made a really freaky Magikarp.
Oh, I remember that.
But I honestly, the two best ones I've seen is a really good-looking Skeletor, and someone getting funky with lizard extensions.
What?
Extensions? That sounds weird.
I mean, I could go into detail, but YouTube's probably watching. Big Brother's watching.
YouTube. We love you. Mwah.
We will see who's watching.
To put it in David Attenborough terms, there are these two big lizard men engaging in combat with their erect reproductive organs.
I would watch David Attenborough commentate on a Soul Calibur match.
Here we have Captain Asshole. And today he fights generic anime OC. Here, Captain Asshole takes his sword and slashes her. She gets up, countering him with a lower kick. Captain Asshole's an actual character, by the way, that I think Critical made him. He's just great. He's like this captain who wears nothing but underpants and a white t-shirt, and he has like these red ball things dangling off of his underpants. It's just great. And he has a katana or something. A really big sword.
That sounds more legit than Devastator from the second Transformers movie.
Oh.
Oh boy. I enjoyed that movie when I was a kid. Oh man, I actually got the Devastator action figure too. I'm looking at it right now as I'm saying that. He's sitting up in my room.
I was dumb enough to not know any better back as a kid, and I liked the first Transformers movie.
I enjoyed the Transformers movies. They got me into the G1 stuff, so I have that to thank at least.
First Transformers Michael Bay movie is legitimately the only good one. The rest you either watch for dumb fun to turn your brain off, or you watch them as a good and analytical study as to why Michael Bay should do a Duke Nukem movie.
Holy smokes, Michael Bay doing Duke Nukem could work.
Possibly.
Remember the Michael Bay Evangelion rumors?
Thank God it was just a rumor.
Michael Bay doing Evangelion out of all things, that'd be horrible.
I
Lagann he could pull off, but not Evangelion for sure.
This is how Michael Bay would do Evangelion. So, mommy!
Stop! Spoiler alert.
Megan Fox.
Played by like Shia LaBeouf and all the. Yeah, you'll get like all these actresses like that are like 20 in their like 20s and 30s. I'm Ray. I'm 14 years old in high school, and it's fucking Megan Fox or something. Or Asuka being played by like a supermodel. I'm 14 as well. I'm my mommy. I need my mom. And it's like, fuck. Dang.
Jesus
Get outta
Christ.
here.
And then Shinji's like, I mustn't run away. I must let dreams be dreams.
You're a fucking grown ass man, shouldn't you grow up?
Get in the damn robot.
Like, dude, you're 35 years old. You can stand up to your dad for crying out loud.
Nah, Shinji would just be a horny teenager if Michael Bay did that.
In Michael Bay's version of the end of Evangelion, at the very end, it's basically just Shinji being taunted by Pepe the Frog.
Memes, because you know we got to be hip to the kids. Adding some spicy meme references.
The Grinch with a mask.
That's actually a thing. For a while, people kept taunting Shia LaBeouf with Pepe the Frog to the point where even when he fled to Sweden for his art exhibition, people found out about it, went inside, and they actually started trolling him in this exhibition.
Holy smokes! Shia,
People got super serious. Yeah, people got super serious about it.
The hacker known as 4chan.
He became a meme and then he was edited by memes. What happened, Shia? We gotta bring you back, boy.
Oh, you guys remember the Shia LaBeouf song that came out?
Yes.
Which one?
The running for your life from Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, that's actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf. That's a classic.
Yeah, that one.
Running for your life from Shia LaBeouf.
That one video where he's the only person in the theater and he's clapping at it.
Yeah, that was the remastered version. The original was an animated short.
Yeah.
With Shia LaBeouf's real life face on the animated character. Great.
I swear someone edited that into that clapping scene from Citizen Kane.
I would.
That's probably what it parodied, to be honest. I wouldn't doubt it in the slightest. I didn't think about that until now.
Because of the camera angle. It reminded me so much of that one scene from Citizen Kane, which has been gifted to death.
Oh yeah, definitely. The iconic clapping scene.
Everything from Citizen Kane's iconic.
I've never seen Citizen Kane.
You what?
Nope, I haven't seen it.
You officially have no opinion on film.
I've seen
Transformers is better than Citizen Kane. Fight me, bitch.
Oh.
Transformers 5 was better than Citizen Kane.
I can literally feel the tumors growing along my spinal cord from hearing this.
Pulp Fiction is a shit film compared to Transformers: The Last Night. Okay, I will confess something. I enjoyed Transformers 1, 2, and 3. I thought those were okay. We got the trilogy. We're done. Transformers 4, it was fun, but it was pushing it. Transformers 5, I don't think I can watch again.
And then I've not seen it. I don't want to, but don't even get me started on the last one, which apparently involves King Arthur and the Nazis and all that crap. And apparently
that's Transformers 5.
They basically tried doing this really lame version of Unicron.
Oh god.
Unicron, yeah, fuck. Okay, little kid me would have fucking killed somebody because I used to be the biggest Transformers fanboy back when, like, in 2009 to 2013. And if you told me back then that Unicron would just be the Earth and you don't even see his robot mode, little kid me would have broken a window.
Yeah.
It was like I was dying to see freaking Unicron in the movies. I would have loved to see Unicron.
Actually was a rumor, and I can kind of believe this, that in the third one it was going to be Unicron, but for some reason at the very last moment they changed it to Cybertron.
That makes a lot of sense.
It was going to be Unicron.
Would have been
Perfect.
That would have been cool.
They actually got the planet right up to the surface of the Earth, which I don't really want to give Michael Bay too much credit, but I will credit him this. That scene from a cinematography standpoint, that actually looked good.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Also, that was a Unicron.
I'm also somewhat excited for Bumblebee because of all the G1 looking Transformers.
Why are we getting this now?
I was gonna say, why didn't they just do this from the beginning? This is what we wanted. It looks technological, but they all look like the Generation 1 counterparts. Why didn't they do this? This would have been the movie that everyone wanted before. Bumblebee actually looks like a good updated version of the 80s Bumblebee. I like this new design. My only little gripe is it kind of looks like a video game as opposed to like movie Transformers, you know? It doesn't look like movie special effects. It looks more like video game graphics to me. That's my only gripe with it.
One word. Shockwave.
Holy smokes! I would have loved that as a kid. Shockwave was my favorite character. I freaking loved Shockwave. Well, no, sorry, that was Soundwave, but yes, Shockwave too.
Can't believe that they actually managed to get away with this Shockwave actually looking really close to G1.
I know, that's not something you can pull off easily. I'm surprised they got Soundwave to look like G1. Like, how do you make a freaking cassette tape look intimidating? And they did it. They made him look cool.
That's the thing, because like there was this whole thing for a while where it's like, you can't get the G1 designed on screen because they wouldn't look convincing. Look at this trailer. And then eat your words.
Also, on that new jet, I think that's supposed to be Blitzwing. Everyone says it's Starscream, but apparently
it is Blitzwing. I mean, I too thought it was Starscream because it has very similar color scheme.
It had the classic Seeker head helmet, had the color scheme. It looked like Starscream.
Nope, it's Blitzwing.
Well, it should have been purple if they want. But then again, everyone would have said Thundercracker, but whatever.
On a final note, it actually would have been ironic if it was Solar Storm as like a nice nod to the animation glitch from the very first episode.
Solar Storm?
In the very original G1 Transformers, I love it, but the animation is dated as hell.
It was horrible. Who are you kidding?
And quite often there would be animation glitches. One glitch is infamous for being Starscream in one frame. And because kids didn't know any better, they thought that was a brand new character. Lo and behold, Hasbro actually made that into Solar Storm.
Oh, the yellow one? I know him as Sunstorm. I've known him as Sunstorm.
Sunstorm. There we go, Sunstorm. Yeah. Sunstorm was born thanks to an animation glitch involving Starscream in one of the early G1 episodes.
That's great. Good job.
Because people didn't know any better.
It's like how Team Fortress came up with the idea of the spy because some enemy players would accidentally glitch to be on the opposite side, so they would infiltrate it unintentionally, and nobody would shoot at them. I love cool. Things spawn from glitches. That's so cool.
Um, trying to think.
I mean, speaking of like Michael Bay, can we talk about how Pearl Harbor is the worst movie ever?
Never seen it, and it sounds like I'm not missing out on it on much.
I
Uh,
haven't seen it. I know the Nostalgia Critic reviewed it, and he said it wasn't bad, but I don't trust the Nostalgia Critic.
it
I don't
is
trust
bad. He said it was bad.
Oh,
Oh, just watch Tora 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 if you want a good Pearl Harbor movie.
Guessing it gets everything wrong.
rings a bell.
Yes. Like, there's a scene where a Japanese fighter fires upon civilians. That never happened.
Probably just there just to make the Americans seem more heroic.
Yeah, Michael Bay had a very massive hate boner against the Japanese for some reason.
In a way, that's why I don't like war movies or just like war things in general, because it always makes, like, especially for World War One, it always demonizes the enemy team, whether it happened or not.
Yeah, but with Tora Tora Tora, everything is extremely historically accurate. For all the scenes with the Japanese characters, they had a Japanese production team do that with Japanese actors. They didn't demonize either side, they just told the story.
Which is good, which how it should be, in my opinion.
The three best war movies I can think of in recent memory at the top of my head are Darkest Hour with Winston Churchill. That was actually pretty good. Hacksaw Ridge, which was actually pretty decent, and probably my favorite one, Downfall.
Downfall's great.
Big alive!
Besides the memes, yes.
My favorite war movies include Tropic Thunder.
Of course.
Oh man, yeah, Tropic Thunder. That's it. You can't beat it. You don't get better than fucking Tropic Thunder. Did you see the opening trailers, such as Bustin' a Nut and Booty Slick?
Oh, those were great. The fake trailers at the beginning.
The fatties fart too. How can you get better than the fatties fart too?
You can never go full retard.
You know what? You know what was funny about the? Oh, sorry, just one more comment. The fatties fart too. You know what was funny about that? You know how all the other ones, they looked like they had a high production value, but they were too stupid to be real?
Yeah.
The fatties actually looked genuine. That actually looked like a real movie Jack Black would do. That looked convincing. Like one of those early 2000s, like 2003 shit comedies in the era.
With like Eddie Murphy playing everybody.
Norbit.
Norbit.
I used to freaking love Norbit as a kid. That movie cracked me up. That killed me. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Oh,
It was just raunchy nonsense.
My favorite part was when they went to the pool and the lifeguard asked the lady if she had bottoms. She pulls up her fat. Yeah, I got bottoms. That was my favorite. And then she goes off this water slide. That fucking killed me as a child. I'm so sorry. Oh man.
There's nothing to be sorry about. One of my favorite movies as when I was younger was Thunderpants, and that's one of the things I sorely regret as an adult now.
Which movie?
Thunderpants.
Is that the one that stars Ron Weasley's actor?
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the poster for it, and it looked incredible.
Let's put it this way: the movie ends with the main character going out into space, and he's literally powering the shuttle with his fart gas.
Powers a rocket with fart gas?
So you can actually hear the on the transmitter.
You fat shit, Elon Musk.
About as realistic as Elon Musk's ambitions.
Elon Musk has nothing on Thunderpants.
It's an actual movie, and that's the actual ending for it.
You know what my favorite movie was in the 6th grade?
What?
Kung Pao Entered the Fist.
Oh, that movie. That was a good
That
one.
movie was legendary.
If you guys want a legendary kung fu movie that no one's heard of, it's Togen Ninja.
What?
Togen Ninja?
Togen Ninja. I had a feeling none of you would have heard of this. It was a movie made in Australia, and it actually features some pretty decent actors in it. But it's basically a parody of all the terrible dubbed kung fu movies, and it is amazing. Hang on, I'm gonna quick and find a clip real quick.
I need to watch this. Also, Jonas, an anonymous Wikizilla user would probably enjoy this very much.
Yes.
Actually, either that or he'd hate it.
Our good buddy. He'd love that.
I don't know, because remember, he's not really into me. I don't know if I don't know if he'd embrace the parody or if he would hate it because shit's all over it.
I don't know. He likes kung fu comedies from back in the day. I think he'd kind of get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't find the clip, but what I have to do is post the trailer for it. But this film, if you guys get, and thankfully the full thing's on YouTube, if you guys get a chance to see this, see it.
We're gonna do that on Watch Together. We have to do that on Watch Together someday.
Hold on. I'm actually posting it in the. Oh, I don't want the. There we go. There it is.
Do you guys want to watch this on Watch Together just so we're all synced up, kind of thing?
That's at some point.
All right, because I'm on. I don't have headphones, so I can't really watch it like this.
Right, but it is there for later for when you guys want to watch it. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie.
Togen Ninja. I've not heard of this, but I'm excited.
All right. Not to hijack the conversation, but
no problem.
Halloween movies. What did we all watch for Halloween?
Scary God.
Sorry, we've been going really off track with this.
That's the fun of it.
Right. To answer your question, was originally going to do 3 movies, but considering I was doing my stop motion project, I nailed it down to 1, and that was House.
Yes, I remember you talking about that. Fantastic movie.
Oh, can safely say, I didn't find it scary, but my God, I would personally call it the most beautiful horror movie I've ever seen.
It was really well done. I appreciate the cinematography and all that neato stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can safely say, in my opinion, that the cinematography in House, or for the weebs out there, House, Melon Man, I can safely say that the cinematography and some of the editing tricks they did in House is so much more refreshing than actual legitimate horror movies we've gotten in recent years.
Yeah, it was a really inventive movie, and I loved all the characters. They were so great.
I love Kung Fu.
Kung Fu was fucking amazing.
I haven't seen House, but I was gonna say, doesn't her legs come off of her body and just starts kicking all over?
Yeah.
That she's one of the many characters that happens to. The movie has a thing for legs for some reason.
That's weird.
Not that I'm complaining, but yeah.
The House is the wonderful kind of weird, and it's actually, once you dig into it, it's actually got a pretty decent story.
Yeah.
I need to see that. I really want to see it.
And also, without spoiling too much, that aunt.
Yeah, the ant was my favorite.
Oh, I thought you said the art. I'm like, what art? Sorry about that. I couldn't.
There is also art in the film.
I know there's the infamous cat picture that vomits blood on everyone.
Yeah.
That's like the most iconic scene.
No, the ant was my favorite.
Scene in the movie was the piano.
Oh yes, I was gonna say, and the piano too. I've heard
That was the first scene I ever saw, and that got me interested enough to seek it out.
I first stumbled upon the movie actually when I was just browsing the movie catalogue of all of Toho's films on Toho Kingdom, and it was just one of those films that I'd never really thought about. It was just sitting there, and then in recent years, when the movie first got released in the US, and when people were really, and lo and behold, about a month or so ago, I went out into a store called His Master's Voice, where they sell Blu-rays and DVDs, and lo and behold, I find the Blu-rays of both House and the Seven Samurai. So come Halloween,
Seven Samurai. That's a classic Toho film.
Meaning to see Seven Samurai. But back on the House real quick. I was originally going to watch the Omen original, either The Fly or The Host and House, but because of the stop motion I'm working on, I decided to settle with House, and I'm very glad I made that choice. House is a good horror film, / comedy, but it's also a great art film.
It is. But
It's pretty much my movie on Halloween.
usually on Halloween I watch the first two Michael Myers Halloween movies. But I also watched another Toho horror film called Sweet Home.
Never heard of it.
It has the game that came out alongside of it is more famous because of its influences on survival horror and all that, but the movie, I'd say it's actually really good.
Isn't it basically a much crueler version of House?
Pretty much. It's got its comedy elements, but it also has some really unique effects work and cinematography, and I really liked it.
And do you easily get that, or is it one of the things you have to don the eye patch for?
The full movie is on YouTube. I think the main company that was responsible for it went defunct, and it fell into public domain for the most part.
It's honestly surprising considering it's Toho we're talking about.
Yeah, usually they're really defensive about their properties, but for some reason, Sweet Home is just fine.
Oh, interesting. Might have to give that one a look.
It's a really good movie. I really enjoyed my time with it.
How's the horror aspect of things?
It's a pretty solidly scary movie sometimes.
Oh, sorry guys, I gotta be right back. Just a second.
It's alright.
That's alright. But the parallels between it and House are pretty out there.
I only heard of Sweet Home after, I believe it was you or some other person on a certain Discord chat were talking about it.
It was me.
It wasn't. Yeah, but there we go. But yeah, it was kind of funny that was brought up around the same time. And now that we can kind of talk about this for a split second, but yeah, I do like the dynamic of the main character in House, where basically she has that whole thing with her father, and then it kind of rolls on to how that influences her trip and everything.
Right.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about House is the fact that not only are the characters likable, but they're smart.
Right. They don't do horribly stupid things like in most horror movies.
Exactly.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Every
Welcome back, Waffles.
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 Yeah, Sweet Home. We'll definitely check it up based on your recommendation, especially
Yeah.
that if it's free on YouTube.
Yes. I really liked how they portrayed the like ghostly threat. Like the shadows are what kind of kill people.
Ooh.
And the effect they used, I have no idea how they do it. It had me scratching my head, and that's a really rare thing when it comes to 80s effects work. But they had really cool scenes where the shadows are just flowing across the wall, kind of like a liquid.
That actually does sound pretty cool.
That sounds like a neat effect.
It is. And it is a bloody film. It's got some really gory bits, but it's really well done.
I'll have to check it out too.
Yeah,
Fun to watch together on YouTube. We have to watch and watch together as well. That's always the best, is watching movies on that site.
Yeah, hell, I'd be down for a running commentary on it.
yeah, that does sound like a lot of fun. And I'm just gonna say this. I'm pretty bloodthirsty as long as it's in good taste.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes too much blood can ruin it or turn it into a joke.
Exactly. So, from the sounds of it, this movie seems to have the right amount.
Yeah. They're There's only like 3 or 4 deaths in the movie, and they're really well executed and paced and all that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, me personally, I can't really think of a really bad Japanese horror film outside of parodies. A lot of them seem to be pretty solid.
That's because from watching like American movies, it's almost reliant on jump scares, from what I know, and just ugh.
It's more a matter of how the jump scares are presented in American cinema that don't really get me.
Jump scares can be well done if done correctly, but most of the time ugh.
Like, if you want to look at perfect jump scares, I think you should look to movies like the original Grudge and Ringu.
Most definitely, most definitely.
I want to watch the Japanese Ring movies or like the American adaptation.
The first American adaptation is okay, but I'd stick to the Japanese.
Oh,
Yeah.
one thing I will always cherish is I used to go to a special needs school, and in the school they had like a boarding department where we would basically stay over there for like a week or so, what sort of thing. It was like a social slash education thing, and we'd all stay together. And I actually managed to convince our carers the original Japanese Ring for us to watch, because seeing the staff's reactions to certain scenes was just priceless.
You're so lucky.
Yeah.
Just about. Out.
Hmm?
I had to do a little bit of emotional heckling, so to speak.
I think I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the original Grudge is probably my favorite of the like early 2000s kind of J horror, just because of how the story flows.
Mm.
It's very unique how they do that.
Grudge is probably the one film which goes to show that sound in horror films is really important.
Yeah. And I really liked the lengths they went to like make sure that nobody ever felt safe.
Mm.
Things could happen in broad daylight with tons of people around. It doesn't matter.
Power of paranoia, and The Grudge is one of the few films that I can think off the top of my head that just gets it right. All the
Yeah.
time.
Which horror movies should be able to do. But most American movies, from what I've seen, it's all you're in the closet, open the closet, it's just a broom. You look behind, the killer is there. It's like, oh, come on, I saw that.
Yeah, it's always the same. It's build up, fake scare, relief, real scare.
The one that got it right was the original Alien movie, in terms of those tropes.
Yeah,
Right.
the original Alien movie, and yet they basically invented and pioneered those tropes, and now it's being done to death.
Pretty much.
Yeah, what I hate is on the fake scare they always do a musical cue and sting, and that's just kind of cheap.
Yeah.
The ones that really was slasher movies.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen too many slasher or horror movies. The most I've seen is maybe, aside from Alien, is It 2017 and The New, which I saw recently. Those are the most horror movies I've actually seen, to be honest. And A Quiet Place, if that counts as a horror movie. I don't really consider monster movies to be horror. I much think more of like slasher killers, to be honest.
That raises an interesting question. Or on the subject of what counts as a horror film. Have you? I mean, I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to ask this anyway. Have you guys seen Matongo?
Matongo?
It's the Toho movie with the mushroom people, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Oh no, I have not seen that.
I'm specifically referring to the Japanese version. Would you count that as a horror film?
I think it would count. It's a body horror movie.
Kind of.
I'm only saying this because of what Wonder Waffle said, and the fact that there does seem to be a building sense of dread and paranoia as the movie goes on.
I haven't actually seen it. I just know the mushroom monster because of Godzilla and Neo. And I found out about it later.
Yeah,
Go for
it's an interesting kind of borderline between several different genres.
I mean, I'm gonna say something pretty blasphemous here, but knock on the original movie I'm about to mention. But out of Honda's science fiction films, it's honestly my absolute favorite of his. I actually prefer it over the original Godzilla.
No problem. The original Godzilla's overrated. I'm sorry, but it was.
It kinda. I mean,
it's
it's good. It's good. It's important to history. The effects are kind of dated. I don't know if they work anymore.
I watched the original Gojira, and I think I remember feeling kind of underwhelmed. I don't know. Like, everyone said the love triangle was so good, and I'm like, eh.
I found the characters compelling, and that's all that I really care about.
I don't
Love
know.
Triangle is good for that time era because let's face it, we didn't have anything like that in monster movies back then.
Right.
But now, not really sure to be honest.
I don't know. Might just be me, but whenever the acting is in a different language, it kind of takes me out of it a little bit when I have to read everything that's being said as opposed to hearing it. No, dubbing makes it worse.
Once you get kind of into it and used to it, it's one of those kind of deals where you kind of can offhandedly read what's going on while you're viewing the screen and listening carefully.
Both Godzilla films and anime me to do that, so
Yeah, the anime and Godzilla really kind of compelled me to learn how to view a film with subtitles.
Mm. I didn't watch the dub. Holy smokes, they're stiff. Like, I remember I was watching Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah or something, and I was just watching. I was like, man, this is stiff. Hey, Tonoko. Oh, hello there, Hanoka. I'm writing a book on Godzilla. I sure hope it's a good seller. Ha 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 ha. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah, I refer to the Omni Productions dubs as the Godzilla dubs, because they all say Godzilla.
Godzilla is attacking Tokyo.
I have no idea where that comes from, but they all say Godzilla.
Godzilla, that's the only way to pronounce it.
Paradox where in some of the Godzilla films they actually dub over the English voice actors. No, the English actors, I mean.
Well, they do that because they have to replace all the voice sound. They can't just keep bits and pieces of it, just because of how technology worked with editing back then.
Although didn't they make an exception to Asian of Astro Monster?
I think they brought in Nick Adams to redub the lines. I wouldn't be surprised if they just brought back Nick Adams for it.
Yeah, the original Godzilla film. It's a great film. It's a good historical piece, but as a Godzilla movie, it's one of those things where if the rest of the series had exactly the same tone, it would have ended decades ago. So it's basically a good history piece at this point.
Right.
Like again, that you need to change, otherwise people will get bored of it.
Exactly. In fact, I can go on record and safely say that Godzilla as a character is one of the most diverse in media because the character has been in all sorts of roles. Like,
watch the Zone Fighter where Godzilla steps out of his house and and fights Gigan, and then watch Shin Godzilla. They're not even the same character.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's like you got Godzilla Phyllis or Godzilla Earth, and then you got the Godzilla from Son of Godzilla. Completely different folds, yet they're the same character.
That blows my mind.
Exactly. So it's like I kind of understand where people kind of jab at the series a little bit, but then it's just like there's a reason this series has persisted for so long. It's because it's not just a monster movie series. It's gone way beyond that by now.
Right.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's one thing I've been loving about Shin Godzilla, which I'm sorry, best Godzilla film.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you watch my other video there, where I compared the original to Shin Godzilla, you'd know exactly why I feel that way.
I watched it again, and like I said, I don't know if it's just me, but I find it good, but it's not fun to watch. You know, I don't know if that was just me getting bored or something. I didn't really attach to the characters, to be honest.
The original Godzilla is definitely not one to try and get a person into the series. Let's put it that way. It's a very fitting for the film and the connotation surrounding it, but the original Godzilla film has a very somber tone, which a lot of people would probably find boring in this day and age, to be honest.
If I had to pick a starter movie, I'd say something like maybe Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. It's not cheesy, but it's also not too overly serious either. It's just got the right tone, in my opinion.
Top of my head, I can think of 3. Versus Mechagodzilla is definitely one of them. EB, and maybe GMK.
I have yet to see NGMK, but I heard it was. I'd say Godzilla 2000 was a okay good. That was a decent movie too. I like that one.
That's a good movie to introduce people.
Definitely Godzilla 2000, especially the dub.
Yeah, that was
Godzilla movie to introduce people to.
The worst would probably be the original.
Godzilla Final Wars, I'd say in a way. I mean, it's a good movie because it shows all the action, but on the other hand, if someone went into that and that was their first movie, they might expect that from every movie. And spoiler alert, that you're going to be disappointed if you expect Final Wars levels of action in every movie.
The worst introductory films. I echo the statement about the original.
Wait. Okay, sorry. My computer was blacking out for a second. Okay, continue.
I echo your statements about the original film being a terrible introductory piece. I'm trying to think. Versus Megaguirus is another one.
I have not.
That's an out there, if you've seen them all, seek it out kind of movie.
And then arguably Godzilla vs. Mothra 1992.
That one I heard is the worst movie in the series, kind of thing.
It's often pinned as the worst. I mean, I wouldn't call it the worst, but I can definitely see why it is one of the worst.
I mean, I don't mind it as much as long as I'm like marathoning the Heisei movies, but as its own thing, it's not really that great.
It's one of those things where you had 5, then Biollante, then King Ghidorah, which would have wrapped up as a nice trilogy, and then you go from that to Japanese Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun scene, but it didn't really belong.
It was like, I love the Heisei series, but I'm now getting to a point where I'm starting to see and kind of agree with a lot of the criticism thrown at it lately. Like,
I enjoy
a lot of stuff they had. Go on.
Pardon? Oh, okay.
You continue.
One thing I enjoy the Heisei movies, but I can kind of see, I can see why. Beam battles, Rebirth of Mothra. I actually hated Rebirth of Mothra. It's my least favorite kaiju film of all time. I couldn't stand it. Yeah, the beam battles. And another thing specifically in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, from what I remember, there wasn't a lot of city destruction. It was a lot of let's superimpose Godzilla in front of buildings and then show shots of people running while he's not actually destroying anything. I know that's a staple in Godzilla movies, but when that's the only thing you see, it it really takes you out of the movie. It's like, okay, I want to see some buildings get stepped on. Nope, just superimpose some buildings. It's like, oh, that's lame.
Yeah,
Come
you
on.
see, like, kind of inverse to that, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla is the only one that I can just pop in and watch without any kind of context.
Oh no, I'm not saying I hate. I actually enjoyed Space Godzilla, but I can see why some people may not.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Again, in recent years, the Heisei series has gotten crapped on more and more, and again, I enjoy the series. It's one of my favorites. It's partly what I grew up with, but I can honestly understand why some people are flinging stuff at now because just there's definitely there's a lot of issues when it comes to execution. Like the Heisei series has some fantastic ideas, but the execution's always been very 50-50.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The effects, though, they are for the most part on point, and that's why it's my favorite.
say what you want about beam battles, but it looked impressive to be honest. It did look really cool.
There was a rather interesting point though in regards to the effects of the Heisei movies. I mean, I know a different guy did 84, but then when Kiwata came along for Biolante, there was an interesting trend. Biolante, which had the best effects in the entire Heisei series, it didn't do well at the box office. There is this interesting decline in the quality. I'm not saying it's all bad, but you just notice that as you go from Biolante to Destroyer, there is fluctuates.
I get what you're saying.
Okay. I
Like,
mean,
I haven't seen Biolante, but I know. But just looking from the few clips of like Biolante herself, that is a really really impressive monster suit.
I mean,
That is a
the DVD I have has a whole behind the scenes thing, and I really come to appreciate the work that was put into it.
I think that Blu-ray/DVD is quite rare now.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky to have it. I mean, over here in North America, we don't really have that many options when it comes to copies of Biollante.
I have never. I You're lucky if you. I'm lucky if I see Godzilla movies in general here, especially on Blu-ray. The only ones that they really have I've seen on Blu-ray are the original 2014, 98, and 2000 for a while. But otherwise, I don't see any Godzilla movies on Blu-ray for the most part.
Sony reissued some of their old releases on Blu-ray in conjunction with G14 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I have a little collection thing that had all the almost all the Millennium movies except for one or two.
Oh, is that the Toho collection?
Yeah, I do believe so.
I have the Toho collection too, but not on Blu-ray, just on DVD.
Yeah, so do I.
My purchases were really just whenever I came over to America or wherever I just lucked on eBay because we have nothing over here. When G14 came out, all we got was basically reissues of DVDs we got on over 10 years ago, which was the original Godzilla, Mystrians, and the dubbed version of King Kong vs. Godzilla. And that's pretty much it. We had a much better selection of VHS tapes in the 90s in the run up to G98 when we actually had some of the show movies on VHS, but we've had nothing like that since.
Yeah, I remember for the longest time the only movies I had were VH copies of King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and the '98 movie.
Mm.
I still have
Because
those tapes too, somewhere.
I got a
I
few.
think I
My sister got me some bootlegs from a local comic convention. I got Godzilla '84, a documentary on Godzilla and other movie monsters. I think that was what it was called, Godzilla and Other Movie Monsters, and Frankenstein Conquers the World. I really should watch Frankenstein. Holy smokes! But yeah, other. Sorry.
um, I think the luckiest I ever got was actually getting the box set, which contained Varan, Matango, and um, it was a Tokyo Shock one. They had Varan, Matango, and another movie in it. I can't remember the name of it off the
Nice.
top of my head. hang on. It was Varan. Oh damn it! What was the third one? But yeah, I literally saw that on eBay for something like 40 odd English pounds, and I knew I had to get it because that thing was going out of print at the time. The box was quite battered, but thankfully the DVDs were in good condition. So
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately I did miss out on things like Frankenstein and a bunch of others.
The first Godzilla DVDs I got was a collection by Classic Media. It had King of the Monsters, Rodan, Godzilla vs. Mothra, Godzilla's Revenge, and Terror of Mechagodzilla in it.
No.
Yeah, can we remember
Oh,
getting
is
the
that
same box set?
the Godzilla collection? Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah,
That was a good.
apparently that was really rare.
I saw 2 copies at my store. I picked up one of the copies, and that's all. I've seen it a few times. It's not that rare.
Like the individual DVDs I've seen come up in like several different stores, but the actual pack itself I haven't seen ever again, and they're fetching like $100 price tags on eBay.
I would never pay that much for it. I got mine for like 30, and it was on sale. The
Yeah.
most rare kaiju DVDs I think I have, aside from the bootlegs, are I got the Gamera Heisei trilogy and Gamera the Brave on Blu-ray. I know, like, Les mentioned, or Resu as he's called in the chat. He mentioned that he's never found a copy ever, and I'm like, oh, go figure.
Hmm.
Yeah, Gamera movies are fairly rare now.
Apparently, the Blu-ray of Gamera the Brave is almost impossible to find now.
I found one copy. I picked it up. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, like I think the one time I checked for it on eBay, it was fetching stupid prices.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of Gamera the Brave. I've seen it. It's good. I liked it, but I have the rest of them in the Legacy Collection box set.
Oh,
Good God,
yeah, I heard
that
this
was a
stuff.
shit show.
What happened with that?
Horrible subs.
I got the Gamera Showa Popflix collection. It came in a nice little tin. It had every single Showa Gamera movie except for Virus and Super Monster, and unfortunately the quality on that wasn't the best. So
And I also, before I got the Legacy Collection, I had 4 of them. It was the AIP dubbed versions. And I had the first 2, the Invincible and versus Baragon. And then it had Guiron and Virus. I think it was the Diamond Collection, I think it was called.
also unpopular opinion coming through, but am I the only one that found that Gamera has kind of been losing its charm over time?
Kinda.
I watched Gamera versus Garen with ABB on a stream, and I just thought to myself, this isn't as good as I remember. I don't know. I thought the monster fights were slow. The
Yeah,
human
that
segments
is the
kinda-
problem with Guiron.
The thing is, I used to enjoy that. That was one of my favorites back then, but I watched it now, and I'm like, I'm not really enjoying this too much. It actually kind of broke my heart a little bit because I like Garen as a monster. I liked the idea, but it was just so slow.
Yeah.
Outside of the original one versus Barugan or Baragon, how we pronounce it, I have no interest in seeing the rest of the Showa Gamera films. To be honest,
I actually remember liking that one.
Baragon was the best Showa, in my opinion.
Which one?
Baragon.
Barugan? I remember really liking that one.
It didn't have any annoying shit kids in it.
I kind of like the adventure qualities because the one thing I did like about Gamera movies when I first watched them is I thought the kids segments were okay because I'd rather have annoying little shitbags. I'm sorry, than boring ass men in lab coats going, "This is how Gamera shoots fire. Look at this video as we spill out worms from a cow's stomach." Actual scene from Godzilla, Gamera
Oh,
versus Giant.
that was elephant's trunk.
Elephant's Trunk, that's it. That was weird. I remember enjoying that movie too, but yeah,
That's kind
I
of
just hate
disturbing.
lab coats. Whenever I think of Godzilla movies, I think, do I really want to watch a bunch of grown ass men in lab coats talking about the monster? And I think to myself, no. And
That's what
that's
I
kind of why
disliked about Varan, really.
that's what Varen is like.
Yeah.
Pretty
Uh,
much.
At least
The
the
one
original
flying
Japanese
into the
version.
I like the monster Varen, and
Yeah, he's
I
pretty
just
great.
hate lab coat scenes. They're so boring.
But the movie is repetitive as hell.
No build up at all. They literally get to the village and then we see Ron like the first 20 minutes. There's no build up at all. He just goes in there, wrecks the village, glides off, and then they literally talk about killing the thing, and then cut to the airport and they literally drop a bomb in his mouth and that's it.
Yeah, I sat there and watched it. I fell asleep for 5 minutes and didn't miss anything.
Oh boy. Oh, that's
Honestly,
fun. I wanted to watch
You're
Varen.
honestly better off watching, although it'll never happen because YouTube and tow. But you're honestly better off watching just basically a compilation of all like the attack, and then you're pretty much set.
Yeah. It uses stock footage from the original Godzilla, and that kind of bothered me too.
Then again, Varan was meant to be a TV production, wasn't it?
I do believe so, yes. You can tell from the
Yeah,
budget.
I hate
yeah,
stuff.
that and Varan. That and originally Varan was going to be green.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, but
Very originally, when they were planning Varan to be a TV production, it was very originally going to be green. But then for some reason they decided to change it to orange when they made it into a film.
yeah, that is
Am I the
strange.
only one that kind of preferred the blue look from the poster?
It's another odd choice, I'd say.
I like the blue, to be honest. Wait, in the original Japanese one.
I get it.
It's actually quite interesting because very recently, for one of the new photo books they've released, they actually revealed some color shots from Varan when he's attacking the airport, which I found to be interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know where they actually came from, but I believe it's from that new photo book. But yeah, apparently some on-set photos were taken in color, and you actually get to see the orange on the Varan suit.
Ooh, I
Hang on
thought
a
that
sec.
was brown.
See if I can find them again.
in later incarnations, he was kind of brownish.
Like, yeah, destroy all monsters. Yeah, makes sense.
One sec. Let me see if I can. I have to type in moon speak. Hang on.
It's a shame they never brought Varen back. I kind of like him as a character. I like him. I kind of like the flying ones, but I like how he flies, but he doesn't. He's not like a pterodactyl like Rodan. I thought that was kind of cool.
For giant iguana monsters, they definitely made him stand out, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I always described him as the flying squirrel iguana.
Yeah, same. Well, not iguana, but yeah, the flying squirrel kaiju monster.
Oh, hang on a sec. I'm just nabbing to the images now. But yeah, this stuff was just recently came out.
Hmm.
I just posted it in the thing.
Oh, that's
That's kind of a cool shot. It kind of reminds me of Shin Godzilla.
yeah, that's
Shin Varen Land.
that's pretty cool.
Then here's another one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
Might throw
that.
that.
An action figure. That looks like a toy almost.
Oh, and for the audience here, I will be putting the images on the screen so that y'all can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Those are kind
Again.
of cool shots, to be honest.
Again, not sure the exact source, but those just came out fairly recently. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
You know what another monster that needs his own movie? Gorosaurus. Gorosaurus movie, what?
Make it a kung fu movie. Gorosaurus's mighty kangaroo kick.
Woke ass atomic dinosaur movie, when? The kaiju profile was pretty good. The
Yeah.
audience would not understand it. I'm so sorry.
To be fair, Gorosaurus Kangaroo Kick does sound like a cheesy 70s kung fu movie title.
It does.
Yeah. Oh. So we've been going for like half an hour. So closing thought, or an hour and a half. Closing thoughts here.
All right.
Do we have any?
I'm closing
I
thoughts.
thought you were gonna say something. I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
Well, closing thoughts. Well, my thoughts are closing at the moment. Excuse me.
We can plug channels if you want.
Well, I guess John knows for hosting us. It's been a really good podcast. It's been my first podcast actually, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So thanks again for having us. It's been a great evening, despite the history behind trying to get this together in the first place. And yeah, on the plug-in side of things, if you probably have seen my name somewhere in relation to Shin Godzilla, so basically just get Max and try and force marriage them, basically.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it from me. Thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah.
About you, Waffles.
I'd like to thank you guys for coming. Thank you, John O's, for hosting it. I thought it was a lot of fun too. I noticed at first it was a little bit rocky, but then after we all got comfortable, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm glad this is a really good first experience on a podcast, and I hope to do this again. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it too in the audience. And before we go, I'm gonna leave you with one last poll: Call of Duty Black Ops or Blackout, PUBG, or Fortnite. We're part of a Blackout family here.
All right.
I'm so sorry. I just had to do that.
All right. So with that, I think we can pull this to a close. Thank you for watching. Links to these guys' channels will be in the description if you want to check them out. It's more likely that you guys are familiar with them and are coming to see them doing something different. So, yeah. We'll be trying to make this a series, get some different guests on, and maybe bring some back. I know I had some fun talking to these guys, so... Alright, have a great day, everybody.